Hi Year 11s, in this video I'm going to be taking you through the Discovering Senses assignment. So as you can see, there are three components to this assignment that you'll be assessed on. One, the problem solving, and this comes through the action plan, a practical application, and a reflection. Now this assignment is done completely individual. You have your cover page that you'll need to use to submit, and we now have the assignment overview. Okay, focusing on children in wider society area of study, students learn about childhood impairments. Working individually, students develop a toy or a learning aid or a comforter that supports a school-aged child 5 to 8 years of age with the chosen impairment. Support may come in the form of an aid devised to help them at school or within their day-to-day life. Practical brief. So students follow the design process to plan and create a toy, learning aid or comforter. Students demonstrate their knowledge of the impairment by creating an item that will aid or support the child in daily tasks. Students need to think about the visual appeal, durability, practicality and relevance of their item. You will need to choose one of the below impairments to focus your assessment on. So this could be a vision impairment with someone who is fully blind or even partially blind, a hearing impairment for someone who is fully deaf or partially deaf, and for someone with a speech impairment. And if you want to be specific, you can give us details about the characteristics of their speech impairment. Now, this is the design process. So there are going to be 4 stages. So number 1, we've got some developing knowledge. So we're going to do some formative work in class and some formative activities. Okay. You will then have an individual problem-solving action plan. This is 400 words. Now, one thing that I'm going to cover in this video is the emphasis on the 400 words. You literally get 400 words, and it's quite hard to keep tabs of because it is in a table. Lots of it is in a table. All right, so you're going to identify and discuss and decide upon decisions that relate to the practical application, and you're going to use the template to guide you. You then have the practical application, so the time allocated to make the toy. And then you have to individually reflect, and there are some set questions that you can answer as well. Now, if we move on to the action plan, so 400 words. Working individually, students safely create a developmentally appropriate toy, learning aid or comforter to support a 5 to 8 year old child with a chosen impairment. The durability, safety, and relevance of the item needs to be considered. Now, in this part here, we're going to go through this in class quite in depth, okay? And this needs to be done well, all right? So you are going to identify the problems, the possible problems, involved in the practical application. You're going to discuss the possible ways you aim to solve the problem and ensure you include at least 2 sentences. So 1 sentence is where you state the problem and 1 sentence will detail how you aim to solve the problem. And there's an example below. So the problem is the toy comforter learning aid must be suitable for a child who is 5 to 8 years old. Solving. Based on research of the developmental milestones of a child 5 to 8 years of age, which state ... and or the opinion of ... I've chosen to make this toy as I believe it is suitable. Okay, so you've solved that problem by researching the developmental milestones of a child that age. Okay, within this aim up here, there are 3 or 4 different issues, different problems that you can highlight down here. Okay. Now, I've given an example, so I would at least like 2 more, if not a 3rd one, just from you. Now, you're going to highlight the impairment that you wish to focus on, just so that we know for the assignment. Now, this part of the assignment is all based on you and your decisions and your reasoning and your interests. Okay, so you're going to identify and discuss the implementation requirements for the practical, considering problem solving and then justifying decisions about the problem-solving strategies. Okay? So you're going to problem solve and then justify why you've chosen to do it like that. Now, in this first table, so remember, all of these tables, this whole thing, even here, part 1, problem solving 1 in performance standard 1, all right, then performance standard 2, decision making, the whole action plan is 400 words. Now, idea 1. So document 3 possible ideas. Include the type of aid, details, possibly an image, or possible challenges. Okay? How and why will the toy support the impairment? Okay, so your first idea gets written in here, and then a justification. Idea 2, and a justification, and idea 3, and a justification. It's important that we think of more than one idea, because idea number 1 might not be able to be achieved, or it might not be practical. Then, out of those 3 ideas above, you're going to pick one. Okay, you're going to come to your final decision. The toy, learning aid, or comforter I'll be making is, and what age is this item most suited for? You need to tell us. Okay, it is suited for a 5-year-old, as at the age of 5 they are beginning to develop their fine motor skills. Okay, and I believe that this toy will help them in doing so. I believe that this toy is not too complex for them who are just learning to use their fine motor skills. Okay, so it's looking at their developmental milestones. We did this in year 10 for those of you who were in year 10 child studies. Okay, and relating it back. You need to justify why. We then have lots of issues to consider and implementation. Now, you do not need to answer every single one of these questions or prompts in this box. However, it is prompting you to think more in depth, okay? And you are going to write your responses here next to it, all right? So how is the toy suited for the set age range? Focus on the age you believe the toy is best suited for, discussing developmental milestones. How will the toy support the impairment? Use language from research relating to the characteristics of the impairment. All right, so it's prompting you to, use that language that you find when discussing the impairment from research. Okay, how will the toy support the impairment? Right, so it's not just what you believe. Surely you're going to find some research that says that a toy like this will help children with their self-esteem. Okay, something like that. So then how are you going to make it happen? All right, so how are you going to make sure that the toy is suited to the set age range? All right, dot point responses are fine. The toy will be made from the following materials. What do you need to buy or find to achieve this? When will you need to get these resources by? What equipment is needed? Okay, so it's planning and thinking more in depth about how you're going to do something. Will the toy be durable for play? Okay, it will be durable for play because how are you going to construct the toy? Why will it be durable? Do you need to learn any new skills for its construction? Are you using like Photoshop and you've never used it before to make a book? Okay, planning and giving detailed responses here. So you are able to achieve well in this action plan, okay, because there are lots of issues to consider and justifying those issues and then implementing those issues. Okay, so the more issues that you're able to consider, justify, implement, identify, all of those keywords that are found in the rubric, the higher your marks are going to be. So just considering one issue here and putting one dot point down in here is not going to get you that high achievement that you might like. However, if you're thinking of every possible scenario and you're able to luckily do that in the 400 word count, then that's how you're going to achieve well. So, how will you ensure safe management practices when completing its construction? All right, does your if it's using the sewing machine or something like that, that's where issues like this might come forth. But if you're using a computer and you're generating a book online, okay, there might not be as many safety issues to consider, but that's fine. Less word count here means more words you can use elsewhere. And then it is planned for the toy to be made within how many lessons. It is suited to my skill level because. Okay, so you're justifying why this toy is suitable. It's really easy to make a toy that is simple, okay? But it's if you have those high skills and you're able to make something a bit better, all right, that's where you need to push yourself to achieve the higher grade band. Now, workflow plan below, you've all done this before, okay, so you need to complete it. Now, I'm pretty sure this might change though, but this is how long you will have to make your toy, not including homework. All right, so setting a goal for the lesson. By the end of the lesson, I would like to have page 1 of my book written. All right, and what you need to be successful. Okay, this needs to be detailed and included. This is not part of your action plan, sorry. This is formative. Sorry, I was just double checking. Now, I'll see you in the next video to chat about the practical application.